Today I plan to use this piece of 1050 medium carbon steel to make a fixed blade utility style knife. The stock I'm using is 1/4 of an inch thick by 1 inch wide by approximately 5 inches long. I want to give a shout out to two guys for very generous donations, and those gentlemen would be Donald C. Henley and Anthony Watkins. Thank you guys very much. I'm not a knife maker, but a blacksmith who likes to make an occasional knife. This 1050 will work well for my purpose. I want to make a knife that maybe could be struck on the spine. You know, if you're out in the woods and you wanted to maybe cut some small limbs or to split some wood. So just an all-around utility knife. This will definitely hold an edge, but it will probably need a sharpening more than something that's made from a higher carbon steel. But a knife like this, you know, something made from 1050, has a lot more carbon than the average railroad spike. And a lot of people use those for knives, so this is perfectly fine. Just making this up as I go along, but that's the joy of being able to work on something just for fun. A thing that I want to stress is that I like to work on projects where the majority of the work is done via forging. I'm not really fond of grinding, and so try to avoid it as much as possible. But of course, in a case like this where you make a knife, you know, some grinding is unavoidable. I do like sharpening. My tools are very basic for this, but again, I don't like to spend too much time working on that sort of thing. So, you know, like I said, I try to get the piece to shape as close as possible via forging. I'm fooling around here with the flat dies in my guillotine tool to form what I think is called the ricasso. So this took 3 heats and it worked well, but I think I didn't locate it in the exact right spot. But that ricasso area is now well defined. This steel is very susceptible to cracking when quenching in water, and so my technique here is a bit unusual. I take it very slowly, and I repeat this process a second time, and you'll be surprised how hard it becomes after the second quenching. So this is the second quenching, which is the extent of the heat treating that I'll do on this knife. And now I know that will raise the ire of some seasoned knife makers, but this technique really works for me. The edge of this knife will obtain a sufficient hardness or the ability to resist deforming. But the knife will also maintain toughness or the ability to resist cracking or breaking. Grinding. What a pain in the buttocks. As I mentioned earlier, I have just the most basic tools for this sort of work, and you can see here that the motor of the grinder is actually getting in the way there. You know, the arbor is too short, but I make do with what I have. And now on to my final sharpening. I go through a bunch of successively higher grits, but I'll only show the first and last here. This is just a piece of leather nailed to a piece of wood with a little bit of green polishing compound. I freely admit that I'm not the best at sharpening, but I have maybe about 40 minutes in sharpening on this knife, and so like a good friend of mine likes to say, good enough for this job. I hope you guys have enjoyed this one. Please like, subscribe, and share, and I'll catch you next time.